And welcome to another edition of Politics, Prose, and Pop Culture. We are back. I'm Rashonda Tate.
And I'm Victoria Christopher Murray. But Rashonda, you said another edition. This is really going to be different, right?
It is, because this is kicking off our consistent Politics, Prose, and Pop Culture. We've been doing this for a long time, right?
A long time, and we have people following us, but it's been kind of hard because we both have writing careers, and you have this whole family life going on over there. I have this whole fun life going on over here. And so it's been a little bit difficult to be consistent, but we know the importance of this now.
And I think that's a valuable lesson, and we might have to talk about later, because you prioritize the things that are important. And we have always said this was important, but we were like, well, time got in the way, life got in the way, and we can no longer let that be an excuse.
Not an excuse, because things are happening in this country. So every Tuesday, we will be on Politics, Prose, and Pop Culture, and people can watch on our YouTube channel, correct?
Correct. And we will be sharing our stories with politics, with prose, and with pop cultures, things happening in the country, not only on our YouTube channel, but we will also have a podcast.
I'm very excited.
Out every Friday.
I'm very excited about that every Friday. I didn't mean to speak over you. Every single Friday, they'll be able to get the podcast. So wherever they get podcasts from. So let's get started with this first of many Politics, Prose, and Pop Cultures to come.
And so, of course, we start with politics, and there is a lot to talk about that's going on in the political atmosphere. Let's start with, it really looks like we are living in an autocracy. When you say that, people automatically check out and say, no, we're not. You're doing too much. Let's talk about it.
I'm not sure people check out and say we're doing too much. I think people don't know what an autocracy is, and people don't want to say they don't know. And an autocracy is very simple. It is just a government where one person has absolute power. That's all it is. One person has absolute power. So that means that you as a citizen no longer have a say in your government. You no longer, because one person has absolute power.
But you'll get people that will say, up until now, the people are still going, well, that Trump has Congress. He has, he has a checks and balances. Governor Gavin Newsom said it himself. There is no longer a checks and balance system in this country.
Yeah, and I don't think people can honestly say that anymore. Now, watching after weeks and weeks of doing this, I think people say that when people say there's a checks and balance on Congress, is that people believe that, well, why would Republicans even go along with this? Why would Republicans go along with one person having absolute power? And the reason they will is because the system of government isn't what's important to white men. What is important to white men is the proximity to power. And a democracy was no longer working for Republicans, because if we have free and fair elections, they're going to lose. They're going to lose. And so it is, the only thing that matters is power. And with Donald Trump, or Donald Trump Jr., who would be the next one, it'll be passed down through the family. With them in power, the Republicans have that proximity to power, and they will still get everything they want. It has nothing to do with governing for the people. The Republicans haven't been governing for the people for a long time.
So, Victoria, when I say people think it really can't happen, you do still have people saying, okay, he is a little extreme, no one's checking him, but he's not king. He won't be, there's a big ad from the Walmart here in the paper that says, no kings here. And people are banking on that. But
yeah, because
I think he's laying the foundation to be king.
He won't be called a king. He will be called president. He will be called president. He just won't be elected anymore. So we'll see what happens, with everything that's going on now. And he keeps calling people who are peacefully protesting insurrectionists, which is amazing to me, because the only insurrectionists I've ever seen was on January 6th, and he pardoned all those people. He is laying the groundwork to be able to even get rid of elections because he'll be saying he's trying to protect the country. We'll see. I think and the thing that's going to be so interesting about an autocracy is that it won't feel any different in your life. You'll still be able to go to Starbucks. You'll still be home in your house reading your book. You'll still be doing all of this, but you won't be able to protest in the street without getting arrested. People in your life will just disappear because they posted something on social media. Cable news shows will disappear, and there will only be one news show, one news station on, and that'll be state TV. So things will change a lot, but in your everyday life, people will be like, "Well, I can still go to Starbucks." Yeah, and that's what happened. So we'll see, but I just want to warn people, we are heading into an autocracy.
Another way that it is having an effect, I see it in my own life. I've always been very vocal on social media, but I look at these people posting how they're getting their TSA taken away, they're
Yeah.
getting their global pre-check taken away, and as someone who travels a lot, that's enough to make me think twice about what I post. And so to me, part of his strategy is to scare folks into submission.
Yeah, and I've changed the way I travel. I just left the country and came back with friends. I made sure that I was entering the country with friends. So we'll see what happens.
All
But
right, well,
that's politics for right now.
all right. Well, we're keeping an eye on the politics happening. We're sure we'll have plenty to talk about next time in the politics sphere. Now, let's move over to prose because there is a book that you have read. I can't wait to get my hands on it. That is kind of telling us how to navigate this area.
Through this. It's a book by Alencia Johnson, who was a consultant for the Obama campaign. I believe she worked with Biden as well, and definitely Kamala. And it's called Flipping the Tables. And what Alencia talks about in that book is how devastated she was after working on the campaign, being at Howard University that night, and how the loss devastated her so much, it sent her to bed. And so she was saying there's something we can all do at this time. And whether it's flipping the tables, because you hear that expression, you think about Jesus. So whether it's flipping the table in somebody else's temple, or what I love most about this book was flipping the tables in my own life. Changes that you can make. Like one of the things people have always said, I'm a very, very positive person. And one of my friends pointed out to me recently that he feels like I've become a little bit more negative. And so I know that I've got to flip the tables. I have to just flip the tables and go back to how I used to be, because that's when you're most successful. You can't be successful in negativity. You can only be successful in positivity. And this book gives you some points on that. So, Flipping the Tables by Alencia Johnson.
And I obviously need to read it because as you were talking to me about it, I didn't think flipping the table, Jesus. I thought flipping the table from Real Housewives of Atlanta.
So, somebody said to me the other day that when you say flipping the table, some people will think of that. And I was like, nobody's going to think of the reality shows. I
They
mean,
flipped the
everybody's
table.
going to do flipping the tables. Jesus.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I immediately thought that. But what I love about it is it really is about shifting the mindset. I preach that all the time to my children is looking at that glass half full. But this book reminds me to take that into account in my own life. And so I
Yeah.
definitely can't wait to dive into it.
Yeah, and when Jesus flipped the tables, he was doing it for something positive. Take
Mhm.
out that Real Housewives thing, because that's not what she's talking about. She's not talking about it being combative or anything, because sometimes you have to flip the tables with your friends,
Mhm.
in a positive way. And so that's what she's talking about. She's not talking about Real Housewives incidents.
Well, I can't wait to check it out. We have recently come off of a Black bookstore tour where we visited bookstores all over the country. A phenomenal experience. I mean, that was one I just absolutely loved. I love touring with Victoria and bringing light to these. But one store in particular, I I'll let you take it from here.
Well, you know, it's really interesting because there were a couple of reasons why we wanted to do a Black bookstore celebration. And it actually started with a woman, Gwen Henderson, when we saw something that she had put on Instagram about not getting the support. And so then I spoke with Ramunda Young of Mahogany Books, who was really trying to put together a big Black bookstore coalition so Black bookstores are working together. And so between us seeing what we saw with Black English bookstore in Tampa, Florida, and Ramunda Young, we decided to go on this bookstore tour. And of course, we were going to go down to Black English. Black English with Gwen Henderson was one of the best bookstores we went to on this tour. They were all wonderful. But Gwen, who is one of my sorors, she was just so excited. Like, she put it on Instagram that we were coming. And then when we got down there, didn't you feel like a celebrity with her?
I did. She made me feel so warm and at home. She talked about not only the book we were promoting at the time, Harlem Rhapsody, which she was like a vocal proponent of that book, but she also did The Queen of Sugar Hill, and we were making plans for me to come back with my new book with Hazel Scott. And so she loved books, she loved art, and she had me taking pictures of her store.
Yeah, it was just wonderful. Well, she passed away. She just passed away. And when I got the call from one of my sorors yesterday morning, I don't know another time recently when I was left speechless. We just saw her 3 weeks ago, Rashonda. And since that time, I've spoken to her because she was going to the Delta Convention, which is coming up. And I've spoken to her maybe twice since we saw her.
Yeah.
And I want to say the last time was last week. Totally the same woman, but God decided that her toil here on earth was over. And I'm devastated about it, very heartbroken. She only has one daughter. And Gwen used to talk all the time about how it was just her and Ariel. So my prayers are to Ariel and Gwen's extended family, and to my sorors in Tampa, Florida, and all around the country who love this sweet, sweet soul.
Yeah, rest in paradise to Gwen. So we are going to shift right now to pop culture. And so every episode, what we're trying to do is talk a little bit about politics, prose, and pop culture. Pop culture sometimes may be a little hard because this one here reads all the time. She doesn't watch TV. She doesn't keep up with the Real Housewives. Okay, I don't keep up with them anymore either, but she does pay attention to the big news stories. And one of the ones that we've been talking about was Beyonce. We love Beyonce, not just because of her music. We love Beyonce's hustle and her hard work. That's one of the few concerts we went to.
That's right. I went to a concert dressed in the silver with the glasses and everything, sat there with everybody else while we waited for her to come on stage, a little late, and then sang along with the songs we knew. We didn't know a lot of them, but it was just so much fun to be in the arena there in Houston when I went down there so that we could go see it. So I had no intention of really being interested in going to see her this year. I mean, wasn't it just last year we went to see her? But
Yeah.
Rashonda, I'm thinking about, like, I need to go see this show. You know
And not
why?
just because of Beyonce, right?
Not because of Beyonce at
At all.
all. But those two little girls, Blue Ivy and Rumi, man, I don't know which one. Blue Ivy has turned into a professional dancer. Those people are professional dancers, and she's up there keeping up with all of them.
And not just a professional dancer, she's a professional to me
Ooh.
because Rumi comes on, and Rumi is a little girl. Some days she's loving it, some days she's over it. And Blue stays poised and together as she tries to get her little sister in line. I love it.
I love it. But then, so I do. I agree with you. I think Blue Ivy is a professional, man. If she can sing, Beyonce, watch out. We don't know that yet about
Yeah.
Blue Ivy. But Rumi is my entertainment because sometimes she'll take that hat off and throw it in the seconds. And then sometimes she'll come out and do a little pirouette. And she's just, I think she's 7 years old. She's just a 7-year-old little girl living her best life. I think I saw something last night where she even got a little emotional, and she was just, I think, overwhelmed by everything that she's seeing and doing. So I might have to go back out there. I might have to talk you into getting some more $800 tickets
I know, right?
So we can go see Blue. I don't know if this is the Blue Ivy tour or the Rumi tour, but it's no longer does the stage belong to Beyonce.
The Carter tour works because that encompasses them all.
Yes.
I love to see it. I love the hustle and love her music or hate her music. Although, I see people hating on Beyonce just because the hate is real.
I just don't even understand that.
I
don't hate on any Black woman who's out there doing her thing, and she's doing her thing better than most. And she's loving it, and she loves people. I've never seen her say a cross word about anyone, so she has my vote.
All right, I love it. And we love you for sticking with us on our first, if you will, edition of Politics, Prose, and Pop Culture. But we are committed to being here every week. We love this. We both are super busy, but we really love what we're doing with Politics.
And sometimes we'll be able to do it live, and we'll let people know when we'll be able to do it live. But this way we can be consistent.
And so make sure you tell a friend and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're here to stay, and we'll be talking about all kinds of topics. If there's something you'd like to see us talk about, drop us a line and let us know. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.
Bye.